Yeah. Please tell me that I can't.
Welcome back, SportsRanter Nation. We are waited all season long for this, for all this stuff. Week 1 of fantasy football. I want to say thank you to our host, Nico, Drew, Jake, and Ben for joining us here today. And we are excited. What a loaded week of action and fireworks and so many things to discuss. We got a loaded lineup for you today. Remind you, we're here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. live, giving you the best fantasy football advice that you can gain to put together your championship football season with here and my guys here at the Sports Ranter. But the lineup today is we want to go over who's for real and who's a fluke for week 1. We want to go over your disappointments. Obviously, waiver wire is going to be hot. Jordan Love is injury. A lot of things that happened that we didn't anticipate week 1. And so we have a lot of things to talk about. We got to get moving. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you, Jake. Please let us know as you go how your weekend went, what was good. But we want to go with the first topic, who you believe for week 1 is still for real and who was a fluke.
All right. Well, overall, the weekend was great. I had some come from behind wins. I in my other, my league I commissioned, just dominated. I hit it out of the park with a few draft picks that were not probably very popular on draft day, which is always great. Pulled out a win in our league. I think it was because Mario and McCaffrey and kind of got screwed last minute.
Oh my gosh.
But a win's a win, and I'll take it. So it was a fantastic week. And I will tell this to all the viewers that have been saying this the last few years. Whether you had a good week, bad week, do not panic about your teams. Like, we have an extra week of the regular season. We have one less week in preseason. A lot more players, especially these superstars, are holding out, missing training camp. Teams ease players into this, into these seasons. So don't go on full-time panic. The guy that I was most impressed with, where he met where he was being drafted, actually exceeded, is Saquon Barkley. Everybody was real curious about Saquon going to the Eagles behind that offensive line. The dude looked like he's never been injured before. He looked great. Hopefully that keeps up. Saquon is absolutely for real. And, he's somebody that, I would kill to have him on. I have him on one team, but I mean, man, they just fed him over and over and over. As far as being fake goes, or a fake, there's something about Bijan Robinson where it's like the last 2 years, it's been this volume and it's been the offense and the talent and this and that. And I know it's week 1, but like, we got to start seeing this guy. Like, I would be, if I was in the Bijan driver's seat right now, I would be really uncomfortable. Again, Kirk Cousins didn't look right. Both quarterbacks coming off the Achilles didn't look right. They looked very stiff, couldn't throw the ball. I actually heard something today that Aaron Rodgers didn't even throw one pass to the right side of the field. Couldn't plant, couldn't throw. Kirk Cousins looked like he was throwing off his front foot the entire time because his Achilles happened on his plant foot. So that's really something to watch. A lot of Atlanta players were drafted really high, and it's just going to be interesting to see where those guys finish, moving forward.
Excellent. Drew, let's move on to you, man. What stood out for you for week 1?
Yeah, for me, it's a few players. I really think Texans offense in general, but Joe Mixon kind of just really puts that whole offense where it just really checks out nice. I think Mixon's obviously he's had a lot of success with the Bengals, but towards the end of that, he kind of became inefficient. I think with all the weapons that we saw, Stephon Diggs pulled 2 touchdowns in, and I think everybody kind of thought he was the one that's going to fall, but Stephon Diggs looked good. Tank Dell still looked good. Nico Collins, like that whole Texans offense really just kind of shined. I think another player, Puka Nacua got hurt, but dude, Cooper Kupp, 21 targets. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, I know, this, that, and the other Stafford and this, but like, Cooper Kupp just finds a way to get open, and 14 catches is absurd, and I think it's just going to continue, especially with Nacua being hurt. So yeah, both those guys end up being on my team in our league, which, by the way, I was top dog this week, and that's kind of the reason why. Joe Mixon really just flourished, and I didn't really expect him to be on par like that right away, but I'll take it all day.
And who's your fluke?
Fluke player for me, I actually really like Jake's picks. I think a lot of those guys in that area where it's tough. But this week, I think the average passing yards per team was 200 yards. Don't panic. Like, it's gonna get better. Quarterbacks are gonna get better. But I think with everything going on right now, there's no way that you can trust. I know Jacobs had a decent week, and he's probably going to get fed more. But guess what? Everybody in the league knows that Josh Jacobs is going to get fed more. So don't bank on Josh Jacobs to be that great of a player coming up, because it's just going to be stacked box. Malik Willis is absolutely horrendous. Anybody in the Packers that you have zero expectations until Jordan Love comes back, because he has 3 interceptions in his career and 0 touchdowns in 3 starts. And yeah, it's not going to be pretty with Malik Willis being at the helm.
Awesome. Don't worry, Nick. We're going to get a chance to bring up the team league rankings here in a second. Okay, but go ahead. What was your impressions week 1 for reals and for flukes?
Well, for week 1, as far as my team, I just think, the old dogs need a little bit of time to warm up. That's it. They don't get no preseason. They don't get no. So my team will come around. I'm not too worried about it. But the real deal, and I think it's just his system, his comfort level, the players around him, the pressure that's not on him. I think Baker Mayfield's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year in fantasy. He's he's got to give credit where credit is due. When you got the never-ending Mike Williams, who will never get old ever in his life, and Chris Godwin's still stud. Now you still got Rashid White, and now this Bruce Irvin kid he looks like he's a little baller too. And he obviously he's been in that system now. He loves it. Dude, they just look seamless. They were just like, all right, let's go. Let's play ball. And I don't see, I'm not saying they're not going to have the, stumble games, this and that, but just for fantasy production wise, he can literally have 250, 2 touchdowns every week. Like, that wouldn't surprise me is what I'm trying to say. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. And if he does that every week, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. That's what he does. He doesn't have that rushing upside, so all these other rushing quarterbacks in fantasy might surpass him, even though Baker's a better passer than all them. He doesn't get the rushing touchdowns and all that like all these other quarterbacks. So that's why it's been hard for a pocket quarterback like a Goff and stuff like that. They're like on the low end of the tier 1 quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy, even when they have a really good year, because they don't get the rushing yards. But if you want a consistent quarterback and Baker wasn't drafted in your league, I don't see why not. If you got Jared Love or Jordan Love, or you got, Aaron Rodgers, you're a little nervous. You got Caleb Williams like me, you're a little nervous. You got, I don't see why you wouldn't pick up Baker Mayfield and just plug in the consistent, points there in my mind. And the one, and I know this one's going to hurt, I think he's a little flukish, is Anthony Richardson, dude.
Nine completions.
I don't trust him. 9 completions, dog. 9 completions.
Don't say.
That one throw was a cannon, but we've seen it. Okay, Will Levis came in and threw for 4 touchdowns. All these bombs, the D-Hop and Will Levis is damn. And And then what is he now? Like, it's just, you have to be a quarterback eventually in the NFL. You have to be a quarterback in the NFL. Now, for fantasy, he might still be worthwhile just because of his running ability. But I just, you can't bank on that. And I just feel he got hurt last year. Like, if he can only complete less than double-digit attempts, and he's just gonna bank on 3 big throws a game because he can't make any other throw beside that. I don't trust him. You know.
Now he had he did have 4 games last year where he, I don't remember stats, exactly, but I mean he was competitive. He wasn't, he wasn't a train wreck. He's definitely 9 completions, but the guy definitely seems like he has every athletic ability there is.
I mean, I'm so confused right now. I really am. I mean, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young? Okay.
Oh, Anthony Richardson.
So, fuck all of you. Okay,
hey, that's a whole different question.
Speaking of disappointments, no. So, real quick, before we move on, I think the king for week 1 as a fantasy owner, you're drafting your first pick, no matter where you are, if you falls to you or wherever, you're so happy that you end up and you pick Tyreek Hill, and then you get your alert that he gets an 80-yard touchdown. There's no answer for him. So, and there obviously is not going to be an answer for him. And so I love that. If you have Tyreek Hill, good for you. You get to ride that along as your first pick. You don't get to be unsure about it. You don't get to, I think as long as he stays healthy, that's good. Who's flukish to me? I know he's a rookie, but I'm not trusting this Jalen Daniels noise. I think people are going to figure out an answer for him. I don't think he presents issues kind of like a Lamar Jackson where it's you can't contain him. But I could be wrong. Like I said, we'll see. It is only week 1. It's hard to call somebody a fluke. Week 1. Okay, so anyways, so speaking of disappointments, right? We want to bring up our league, right, Nick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's all good. Just to be transparent, I went 1-4 this week, so it is what it is. I'm in 5 leagues and not a good week. One of them I lost because I had Christian McCaffrey starting, and got that news at the end. I would have 100% won if he played, but it is what it is.
So this is kind of the result of week 1. I can say congratulations to Jake. Okay, I'm sorry, Andrew, for being at the top, and Jake not bad too, right? We're right there.
Jake's right there, baby.
Jake's right there. The opposite. So the defending champ is okay. It's week 1, right? It's okay. It's week 1. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? So,
statistically, they say though you have like an 8% chance of winning your fantasy league if you lose week 1. So, sorry, Nick. No, I just made that up.
You just got to get in the dance at the end. I don't care if I'm 7-7. Just get in the dance at the end.
Well, one of my disappointments, to tell you the truth, to get this thing started, was to get the D grade from this league. Okay, and I don't want to go and talking about who's on my bench. I've already heard enough who's on my bench. Okay,
evaluate your whole draft, Ben.
Whatever. Okay, like my team who I draft came through. And so that was a big disappointment for me. Okay, but anyways, we don't have to talk about. I'm sorry, I was just using the pun intended with disappointment. I just wanted to share everybody what happened week 1. Is there anything you guys want to discuss about your team, about what happened?
Just one real quick thing, because I know there's so many players and so many people in on it. I just want to see maybe if you guys think it's a week 1 thing, or if this can be a situation where you have to worry about. I mean, the Chicago Bears, there's a lot of people. 3 of those receivers got picked in the top 36 for receivers. Rome Odunze, obviously Keenan Allen left with a heel injury. What to make of that, I don't know yet. You haven't seen any more reports. But DJ Moore, 93 yards for Caleb Williams is absurd. Is it panic mode yet? Are we getting scared?
No.
Obviously, DeAndre Swift didn't provide much of anything as far as efficiency goes. That whole offense just looked like trash. And I don't know if you're just going to put that, crumple it up and put it in the garbage can for 1 week and see what happens the next. But I don't know, man. Alarms are kind of ringing for me. Like, luckily, I don't have a lot of Bears and stuff like that. But if I did, I'd be a little panicked right now. I wouldn't be saying sell off and trade, but there's only one other player I want to mention too, and that's Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne, he fumbled right there at the goal line, and he didn't really get back into the game much at all after he fumbled right there on the goal line. Tank Bigsby came in, and he averaged like 6.5 yards a carry. So if you have Travis Etienne, maybe be a little worried as well. But yeah, that Bears offense is kind of scary, dude. I don't know what you guys think on that.
Well, first off, if you went into your drafts and you had these highlighted names of DJ Moore and Roma Dunze and Swift and all that stuff, this is what I'm talking about, the difference of kind of sometimes like getting too much into these experts and all that stuff and then kind of using your like common sense. This is a rookie quarterback. It's so rare that a rookie quarterback comes in and supports all these studs in fantasy football. It doesn't happen that often. It happens, but it doesn't happen that often. I stayed away from DJ Moore in 6 drafts. I didn't draft Swift, Roma Dunze. I ended up having to get Colt Kmet just because I just punted that position. But do I think it's washed? No. He's a kid that had a lot of hype coming in. There's a lot of pressure coming in, and he's probably going to have a few more bad games. At the end of the season, I think that you're going to have those guys are probably going to fall about expectation, maybe a little lower for I'm falling expectation for like DJ Moore and all that stuff. But I don't think it's panic time really for anybody yet. It's a rookie quarterback. Like if you're starting your guy thinking that they're gonna targets and target volume and target share, blah 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 blah. It's a rookie quarterback. It's gonna take time. That's the bottom line. So if you bought that in the draft in your draft 2 weeks ago, then you should probably stick with it. Here 2 weeks later for at least a little while, because if he's any bit of the hype that we saw in preseason and all that we've been hearing, then yeah, if he catches fire, then there's going to be a lot of great fantasy production coming out from those guys in Chicago. So it's not time to panic yet, but if you weren't expecting this, you're kind of an idiot.
Well, I don't know if you're talking to me because I drafted Caleb Williams and DJ Moore in our league, so.
I thought Caleb Williams was more.
I didn't know.
I thought that
so
was.
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. I really don't.
Are you panicking now?
But it's. I wouldn't call myself an idiot, but yeah, it was
I do have DJ Moore in the league.
Am I a little concerned? I am after week 1. I mean, I don't consider the Titans defense a really strong team, but we never know. They've always kind of been good defensively over the years, but yeah, I didn't think they were going to be able to shut them down like that. We'll see next week, which I am starting Aaron Rodgers instead of Caleb, and he's also playing Tennessee. So we'll see if they shut down both my quarterbacks 2 weeks in a row. Maybe Tennessee's has a better defense than we're giving them credit for. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Andrew, yeah, I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned with all my guys. I know it's week 1. I don't want to panic, but since you guys mentioned my low score and my drafting strategy. TJ McLaurin didn't do anything. DJ Moore didn't do anything. Evan Ingram, 1 catch, 5 yards. So a lot of these big name guys, obviously I started Caleb Williams, who got me a big old 7 points. Quarterback position. So yeah, I still, I think they're all solid guys and when it comes to volume and all that. But again, we just got to let it play out. Defenses are always ahead of the offenses at the beginning of the year. Like I mentioned in the, in our side chat, like, none of these guys play preseason anymore. They have 1 less preseason game. They're not allowed to practice as many hours as allowed to. Every new, agreement, Players Association agreement is less and less practice, which affects the offense more than the defense. Defenses. There's only so many defenses you can run. They're all very the same, zone, man, variations, but it's go out there and beat your man in front of you. Offense is a lot more complex. You got a lot of checks, this, that. So offenses are always behind. Like Jake said, rookie quarterback. I think he'll eventually turn it around. They got too many playmakers there now. Also, you know, it's just him learning a new system, all that stuff. I thought the Tennessee matchup was going to be okay matchup to start on week 1. Obviously, I was wrong. Um, but yeah, a lot of the game scripts, a lot of things, you got to just be patient with. We just don't know how it is week to week. And then as more tape comes, these studs and veterans who get tape on other teams and coaches, they start knowing, oh, we can pick them here, we can pick them here, we can pick them here, and then you start seeing all the points, uh, go up later on in the year. So I'm nervous, but I'm not concerned just yet.
I feel like too a lot in nowadays in today's NFL with these quarterbacks, there's so much pressure on them being like the first overall pick and stuff. It's the quarterback. You come in and you learn our system, and we're gonna run however we want to run, and you have to adapt to that. Whereas I think like take it like the team like the Chargers this year. You got this guy like Herbert who's this gunslinger and he's got all this talent and stuff, and they're like, no, we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna do what we want to do. I think if the Bears get to a point where they're like, we need to slow down our offense, we need to go to like a more traditional run, maybe smash mouth ball, make it to where Caleb Williams doesn't have to go through 3-4 progressions, where he has its check downs, that it catered the offense to him as a rookie to kind of get him going and transition, rather than coming out and you're in these 3 wide receiver sets because we have all these studs and all that. That's kind of lost in today's NFL. Nick, I had a question for you just really quick, because when we talked about the flukes, who's real and who's a fluke, you have them, and I was wondering if I was going to bring him up. But Jonathan Taylor, like first round pick in every draft, you have him. Kind of an underwhelming day especially when the quarterback only had nine completions. What are you panicking on Jonathan Taylor? What should people with Jonathan Taylor do?
No, you can't panic. It's week 1. Again, I think week 1's always, it's weird to evaluate and it's hard to evaluate. Houston's defense is, pretty good. They got like 3 first-round draft picks on the D-line, this and that. They're a playoff team. Like, it's not like they're going against some scrub team and they can't run the ball. But, I mean, it's just weird. I mean, let's talk about. I know he got a first-round pick and Zamir White got later on, but, like, in our game, because I watched every single snap, like, he was finally starting to get going, and on his first big run, they call a bogus holding call, like they always do, and it gets called back, and then he breaks another one, and he ends up fumbling, and it just kind of, we just couldn't get that rhythm. Yeah, we were getting stuffed a little bit at the beginning, but a lot of times it takes these running backs. Same thing with Derrick Henry. Like, I'm like, dude, you drive it down the field first drive, and then you just barely give him a touch here, touch there. Derrick Henry is most effective touch 18 and beyond. Like, in that fourth quarter, that's when he's going to break up all these runs because these guys are tired of tackling him. Jonathan Taylor's the same way. He's like this really strong back. I just think it takes time for, coaching staffs and quarterbacks and calling in the rhythm and all that stuff. Game script matters too. If you have Gardner Minshew just throwing the ball into the ground and giving the ball to the other team, then shit ends up changing. So, obviously, I'm upset about that game because I didn't think the Chargers beat us at all. I don't think they try to stick to the run, Jake. I think we shut them down and we just let them. We just gave that game away. But anyways, that's a different story. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got to stick with him. He's projected 19 points this week. Like, I know projections are whatever, but obviously people still see the talent. They wouldn't be projecting him, 19 points, if the talent wasn't there. So, and I think if they are only going to complete 9 passes, they're going to start leaning on the run a little bit more.
Well, the hardest thing about week 1. Sorry, Drew, go ahead.
It's waiver time.
It's right. I was just going to say the hardest thing about week 1 is we're all so emotionally invested, right? Like, that's why it's overreaction Tuesday, whatever, because we're so emotionally invested. We've drafted. We're waiting for our team to manifest. It does or it doesn't, and then we kind of overreact, and then we have a podcast to talk about it, right? But it's okay. But this is why we're here. We're here to discuss how to put together your team week in and week out, and now it's time for the waiver wire, right? Because there's guys that we didn't anticipate, we didn't draft that produced. And there's guys that are unseen that no one was thinking about. And obviously there's injuries. Jordan Love is a big hit. And a huge fantasy blowout. Who also is a huge effect, I think. There's a running back, I think, that got hurt. But anyways, there's a lot of things that are happening. So, Drew, it is time. Let's start us off with, for our viewers, thank you, Seth, for joining us and commenting. Part of our million viewers. But, Drew, start it off, please, for this week's waiver wire.
I mean, I think there's a few names that obviously stick out. This guy up here, if he's available in your league, Jordan Mason, it's looking like they're already saying that Christian McCaffrey is going to miss another week. Apparently, Kyle Shanahan's saying it's Achilles tendonitis, which, as a Niner fan, that doesn't make me feel happy. So, yeah, it's definitely worrisome. He's scary as far as, like, how do you want to play Christian McCaffrey? But if he's on your waiver wire and you have some fab, Jordan Mason, you're going to want to dump some money on him, dude. I'm not saying go out there and put 50%. But like 40%, 30%, I mean, who knows? Like if there's an injury rate, this, that, and the other, the Madden curse, all this other BS with the Christian McCaffrey saga. But I mean, Jordan Mason can just went in there and just handle business. I mean, the Jets are a defense that everybody looks at and says they're like a top 5 defense in the league, and Jordan Mason just ran off for 147 yards. He's going to get fed. The Niners' offense looks great. They're not. It's like the same thing from last year. Nothing really. We didn't skip a beat. Isaiah Likely, he's scary. There's a lot of bracket coverages on Mark Andrews. He was basically doubled most of the game. Lamar Jackson, you assume that the Ravens are going to be above and like at ahead most games. So Derrick Henry's going to be running more. Lamar's going to be running more. But Isaiah Likely is somebody that you want to look into, because they don't have pass catchers there, dude. Like, they just don't. Zay Flowers is it. Mark Andrews is it. And Isaiah Likely. Like, Isaiah Likely, think of him more as a slot receiver than a tight end, because essentially that's what he's going to be playing. So he's somebody I would definitely look into. And they're saying that Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert both didn't practice. Devon Achane, towards the last couple plays of the game, he came up hobbling. I don't know if it's an ankle injury or what's going on, but
surprise.
Jalen Wright, Jalen Wright is somebody that you should take a look into, just to stash. Just a couple bucks out there just to see what's up. But Jalen Wright, somebody who is young, who can. Want to say what's up? You want to say hi? Hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
What up?
Jalen Wright, somebody that you guys can take a look into. Raheem Mostert's getting older anyways. I think he's going to be out of the plan in general, so they're going to want to get Jalen Wright some snaps.
A-Chain, right, Jake? A-Chain.
But yeah,
Not worried.
Might be. I mean, it's a Thursday night game, so there's a chance that Jalen Wright's going to get volume no matter what comes. The last person, Nick said it, dude. I mean, Baker Mayfield, if he's there and you got Jordan Love or you got Caleb Williams or you got one of these guys you're a little scared about, Baker is pretty much undrafted in almost every league. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. He's probably going to get. He should be rostered. Baker Mayfield should definitely be rostered. If there's anybody else you guys want to bring up, by all means, bring them up.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up because I'm looking at our league, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Number one in the tight end waiver wire is Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
Who's not available in our league?
He is.
Oh,
Yes,
he
he
is.
is.
He's number one tight end available
is he
in our
really?
league.
Okay, that's 2 leagues. Okay, that's
So that's
two.
what I kind of mean. Like we come
Go
up
ahead,
on
you guys can get him.
we keep each other accountable,
Where?
right? We keep each other accountable on this podcast. We act like we all saw something and we drafted, and we all missed Isaiah Likely as someone anticipating as well. Obviously, Mark Andrews is there, right? So why would you even think about it? But if you remember last year, Likely was producing when Andrews wasn't there, and so there's going to be a race for Isaiah Likely in our league, guaranteed, right? But I agree with
So
Nick.
on that real quick, just viewers beware. If you think Isaiah Likely is going to do this and be a top 10 tight end, be careful. He might sneak into the bottom end of it, but Mark Andrews was double teamed and bracketed more than he has been since 2021, I believe the stat was. or even 2020. Okay, the Chiefs said he is not going to beat us. We're going to make likely beat us. Okay, now he didn't beat them. He almost did by a toe, but he almost did.
White
so
cleats.
With that being said, teams are not just going to say, okay, likely, you can just go wild, because likely will continue to prove himself. And I don't think teams are going to bracket Mark Andrews like the Chiefs did, because they won't. Either Zay Flowers is going to go. It was just the Chiefs' game plan, and they said literally they're going to bracket him more than he has been in the last 4 years. So that's not going to happen. Mark Andrews is still going to get his, which means Isaiah Likely is going to be less and less. So
yeah, context on that
I'm not saying he's not going to be good, or he could. Don't go get him. I'm just saying, just beware. He's not going to just surpass Mark Andrews and be the number one tight end on that team. That's not happening. The Chiefs defense told you who the number one tight end on the team was, and that's Mark Andrews. So just beware of that stat. That's it.
I appreciate that. But I'm going to hit on the wide receiver real quick before I pass it to you, Jake.
Okay.
I think an important waiver wire that's available out there in probably most leagues. There's a reconnection from Green Bay, but Mr. Aaron Rodgers and Anthony Lazard, I think, showed us a real connection in whatever situation it is. But I think Lazard is worth a pick if you are, especially if you're in a PPR league. Go ahead, Jake.
Okay. Few things about the waiver wire. First, I will say this about Isaiah Likely. Go all in on him. Get this guy, because yes, he is not. Yes, Mark Andrews will have his games and all that. The reason why Isaiah Likely is special, and the reason why I believe that he is going to continue this through the year, is the reports all offseason since spring training was they were lining Isaiah Likely up all over the field as slot receiver, inside, outside. They are finding ways to put him on the field because athletically he is so dominant that we saw last year. He is so much more dominant than the defenders around him. Mark Andrews will have his game, but when Isaiah Likely is lining up on the field as a slot receiver, he's lining up inside as tight end, there's all this, there's always going to be extra attention on Mark Andrews. Like, the Chiefs just beat the Baltimore Ravens with that game plan. We're not going to let Mark Andrews beat us. Well, then why don't you think other teams wouldn't want to follow in that game plan?
Because they don't have the same staff.
Nick, I'll put a side bet on you right now. Around a golf at Singing Hills that Isaiah Likely finishes fantasy-wise higher than Mark Andrews.
Oh!
Barring injury?
No matter what.
No.
Okay,
Mark Andrews gets hurt. No, I don't want that.
It's Mark Andrews, yes, of course, barring injury.
Heard live.
Even with injury, right?
No. I'm just saying, if either one of them gets injured, the bet's off.
Well, injured, like one game.
Well, we'll have to talk on the side, I guess.
All right, but I'm telling you right now, friendly bet then. Mark.
I mean, you have a really good head start. First of all,
and sometimes that's all you need is a tight end. And I'm not just saying this playing armchair quarterback. I started the guy in my league, so I totally believe in him. As far as the waiver wires goes, listen, I'm in 6 leagues. They're all 12-man leagues. Most of the people that probably listen to this are in 12-man leagues. The guys that you're hearing on podcasts or online, on your Instagram, people you follow and all this and that, Jordan Mason is not there, okay? Isaiah Likely is in 2 of the leagues that I'm in. But when I'm playing the waiver wire game at this point, first off, I'm really trying not to panic. Second, I want guys that I'm like potential backups on good teams. For example, Jalen McMillan, the wide receiver, the rookie receiver for Tampa Bay. We just saw what Godwin did. We just saw what Mike Evans did. We know them guys are going to get hurt every year. Jalen McMillan's just sitting there on the waiver wire. He's going to be the next man up when eventually one of those guys goes down. So, it's like I'm targeting guys like that. Who was the guy that filled in when ETN fumbled the ball? Tank Bigsby. He's there. He's sitting right there. So, it's not realistic to think that a guy like Jordan Mason or some of these guys, they're not there. I don't think I've seen Jalen Wright, on very many, and rightfully so. We're in good leagues, dude. Like, we have a lot of good, smart people to draft. So I'm kind of trying to look ahead to the future a little bit. Like, when Puka went out, Cooper Kupp got all those targets. We also saw there was an uptick in targets to Cody Parkinson, who's their tight end there. Like if I'm a guy that lost David Njoku or somebody like that, Cody Parkinson's there. So try and look a little bit deeper. It's not always the next man up. I mean, if it wasn't Jordan Mason getting the ball, it was Deebo Samuel. So all those guys like Isaac Granado or whatever, like they didn't even see the field. So at this point, look for good offenses and look who could potentially be, a good start if somebody gets hurt. I guess it's just playing hey, if you got room on your roster, draft somebody's backup. I heard a few people say J.K. Dobbins is a must get. You got to pick him up. That motherfucker was drafted in like the 12th round in our 16-round leagues. And like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not realistic, but try and look for some realistic scenarios.
Realistic is Bucky Irving. Okay.
That's and he's there. That's perfect because I don't think he can pull off what he did last season without having somebody some help. And Bucky Irving, Nick, is a great
7 yards a carry. He's a rookie. He could he eventually be the number one?
Yeah.
Sure. So look for guys like that if you're not trying to panic. And here's the other thing, you got to look at how your waiver wire is set up. So like in our league, because we talk about ours, is I have the number one waiver wire right now. If I make a waiver wire pick, I'm gonna go dead last, and I'm gonna stay dead last until everybody in front of me makes a waiver wire pick. That could be 4 weeks from now. That could be 5 weeks from now. So you have to make sure, we do that to be competitive. And just to show you how competitive it is, I could get Isaiah Likely. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know if I'm going to get him yet.
You can't now. You can't now.
Yes, I can.
No, not after you just dogged him.
Well, I understand that. But my dilemma is
I want him.
No, that's fine. I have Evan Ingram and Brock Bowers. Okay. So I think Brock Bowers showed some good signs, even though Gardner Minshew's our damn quarterback. And then obviously Evan Ingram, a down game, but he's been a top 5 fantasy the last 3 years. So do I really risk my first waiver wire pick on a tight end when I got 2 of them and I think 2 serviceable ones? How much of a leap is Isaiah Likely going to give me in the league? You know what I mean? So again, that's something I'm still debating. Do I waste my number 1 pick to go draft the Baker Mayfield out there just talking him up and dropping Caleb Williams? Or do I just wait and see if nobody picks him up? So it is tough. You got to weigh those decisions. I am still unsure on what I'm going to do. I got till midnight to figure it out, but we'll see.
Well, we discussed it right here on the Sports Ranter, right? So I think that's just great. One thing that I want to add to the waiver wire, it's a different style to the waiver wire. It's a spot play, okay? It's not something that you have an injury or no. Like you're looking at your team, you're staring at your matchup, and you want to go with your starters, but you see just something better sitting on the waiver wire. Typically, it's going to be a defensive spot play. You drafted your team that you want to go with, but you see something better depending on the trend of certain offenses or what's happening in the league. So, for instance, in one league, they were just sitting right there. I had drafted the Chiefs. I didn't like that matchup versus the Ravens, but who was sitting there on the waiver wire was the Vikings versus the Giants. I was just licking my chops at it. I couldn't not do it, so I did it. I made a spot play. I last minute changed my defense, and I got a big significant in points just for that move. And so it doesn't always happen. Sometimes it doesn't work in your favor, but I do like the spot play for defenses and sometimes kickers. If you're paying attention to the league, you can sneak in some of those moves that'll help you get a win. Okay,
that's all you should do. Like, that's all you should do. You should never pick one defense and think that defense is going to be your saving grace all year. Like, there's zero chance that you should be doing that. You literally should be breaking up the season in chunks, in 4-game chunks, and seeing what defense flows the best. That's for a week-to-week basis. I mean, like, there's literally, like, look to see who's playing against the Panthers. They fucking suck. So
took the words out of my mouth.
Look to see who's playing against these new quarterbacks, these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Bo Nix. Look to see there's a plethora of rookie quarterbacks that are starting right now, and you want your defense against those guys. Jaden Daniels. You want to go against the Commanders. You were looking to go against these teams that that have a shit offense, the Patriots. Like, you want to go against those kind of teams. You want to pick those guys up. You don't need to worry about, I got to get the Niners defense in the 11th round. It's ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's going to work sometimes, but when you're playing against big name opponents and you're putting up 20 to 30 points against you, you're getting sometimes you're getting negative points for having these legit defenses that are playing against home run style players. Like, I don't want that. Same thing with kickers. I mean, like, look to see who's playing against those, like, if you're playing at home, like, that's a big thing. If you're playing in the dome, you ain't got to worry about the weather. I know it's still early in the year, so there's not a lot of, like, crazy weather situations going on, but once it goes down to, like, November, you better be looking at the who's playing in the dome, because that stuff matters. So, like, teams like the Lions, 14 out of 17 games this year are at home. Like, it's huge. That stuff goes a long way.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, SportsRanter Nation. There you have it for week 1. I think we did a good job for you of covering all aspects of fantasy football, considering the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, kicker and defense. There's an edge somewhere, and you can find it right here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. live with here my boys Nico, Jake, and Drew. Okay, so don't forget, we were going to be here next week covering the week 2 content, and tonight is your waiver wire lineup, so be sure, if Isaiah Likely is sitting there and you have the first pick, he should be on your team by the end of the day. Done.
Hey,
I don't want to hear I don't want to hear
so
nothing else. All right, you guys. With that said, all right. Peace be the journey, and one love. We'll see you guys.
I'll pick him up and trade him to you, Jake. I'll pick him up and trade him to you.
Then let's talk.
Right.
Let's talk.
Late.
And I might have something for you. All right.
Sounds good.
Hey,
Great show, guys.
I'll see what I can do on the quarterback front. But I mean, what about Dak for Isaiah? Because your quarterback sucks ass. Bro.
I know, but I could pick a Baker too.
Backstage trades
going
on.
Okay.
I haven't even stopped the stream yet. Backstage
now locked up.
Trades going on. Peace
Hey,
out, guys.
dude, I just looked. Matthew Stafford's still there too. Shoot, I'm just gonna pick him up.
Hey,
He's just gonna throw it to Cooper Cup all day. I'll take that.
Hey, I've ridden the roller coaster. Enjoy the tick up, and then enjoy the splash.
I can't shut these guys off, folks. I can't shut them off. Peace out, guys. See you next week.
Hey, guys. Late.